Want to create professional Playwright Test Framework in just 5 minutes? Hello everyone, welcome to my channel WishInfinite. Today I will show you how to use Playwright MCP Server with VS Code and GitHub Copilot to build a fully featured automation framework using page object model, fixtures and JSON test data. By the end, you will have independent tests fully CI integrated. So let's dive in and build this framework fast and easy. And before moving further, I would like to inform you that you can now support my YouTube channel, and for that you can go to my channel WishInfinite and then click onto the join button. Here you can select the desired option to become a channel member. You can unlock exclusive perks while helping the channel grow. Your support means a lot. And a big thank you to everyone who has taken channel membership. As a token of appreciation, members can see their YouTube profile picture featured randomly on channel homepage here. Also, you can access this complete automation using AI and MCP Server's playlist under Playlist tab. Feel free to save this playlist by clicking onto the Save button for quick access in your YouTube playlist section. Now let's continue with our current topic of this playlist, where we are going to build a Playwright Test Framework using Playwright MCP Server, VS Code and GitHub Copilot. Now let's first go through a little bit of theory. So what is an automation testing framework? An automation testing framework is a structured approach or set of guidelines or rules for designing, creating, and executing automated test cases effectively. It serves as foundation of writing test scripts, managing test data, and organizing test execution, ensuring reusability, maintainability, scalability, and consistency in automation process. So in short and simple language, the automation testing framework is the way that how you are going to manage your things for the Playwright testing. How you are going to keep your test script files, how you are going to manage your locators and actions which you are going to perform on it, how you are going to provide data for your test scripts. And like this, there can be multiple functionalities which can be integrated with the automation testing framework. And now what is the Playwright Test Runner? The Playwright Test Runner is a robust testing framework specifically designed for end-to-end testing, writing and running tests of web application using Playwright. And here, as I told you, that we are not going to write the code to create Playwright Test Framework. We are going to use Playwright MCP Server and power of AI to create a Playwright Test Framework by just giving a prompt. And what is Playwright MCP Server? So it is a model context protocol server that provides browser automation capabilities using Playwright. This server enables LLMs, which are large language models, to interact with web pages through structured accessibility snapshots, bypassing the need for screenshots or visually tuned models. And if you are an automation tester and developer, you must already be aware about Visual Studio Code. And what is GitHub Copilot? So GitHub Copilot is our AI assistant. In this case, it is going to act as MCP client. Now these are prerequisites which are required to use MCP Server here. First one is Node.js. So if you are an automation tester or developer, there is very high probability you must have already installed Node.js into your machine. But if you have not installed Node.js, you can go to this site, and from here you can download Node.js for any of your machine. For me it is Windows. Similarly, you can choose Mac OS or Linux. And from here we can download Node.js MSI file for the Windows. For me, the Node.js is already installed. If you are not sure that Node.js is installed for you or not, you can open the terminal or CMD and then give the command node space -v. Hit enter and you would be able to see the installed version of Node. If you are downloading the MSI file, you can simply follow the installation wizard, and at the end you would be able to install the Node.js. Similarly, you will also have to install the VS Code. If it is not installed, search VS Code onto the Google and download and install the VS Code. Apart from that, we will require GitHub Copilot extension and GitHub Copilot chat extension. So once you install the VS Code, just open the VS Code and here go to the extensions at the left hand navigation, and now you can search for GitHub Copilot and GitHub Copilot chat here into this search bar. For me it is already installed, so I am seeing this uninstall button. You would be able to see the install button. If you install any one of it, automatically the second one will get installed. So about all these prerequisites and Playwright MCP Server setup, I have already discussed into these two previous videos. Here I am just quickly showing you that how you can do that. But if you want to get in-depth knowledge about it, I would recommend you to watch these two videos. Now once our prerequisites are ready, we need to configure Playwright MCP Server in the VS Code. And as I told about that also, I have already discussed in depth into these two videos. Here I will just give you the quick glimpse that how you can do that. But here is one catch. We are not going to use the official Playwright MCP server. So we would not be using this MCP server. I will tell you what in some time. So to build up Playwright Test Framework, we are going to use this Execute Automation Playwright MCP server. And to configure this Playwright MCP server, we just need to simply scroll down into this Execute Automation MCP Playwright GitHub repository. And here you would be able to see this Install Server button. You can click here onto this button, which will give us this pop-up to open VS Code. Click onto this Open Visual Studio Code, and here you would be able to see this tab, where we have this install option. See, here we are going to use the npx command, and the argument would be -y @execute automation / Playwright MCP server. There are multiple ways to configure this Playwright MCP server. Here we are going to use this install button. So click onto the install, and as soon as you click onto the install, you would be able to see this Playwright here under MCP servers installed section. Let me collapse these two sections. So now as we are able to see it, our MCP server is installed. Just to be more sure, you can click onto this setting and click onto this show configuration JSON. And here you would be able to see the servers, and this object. Inside it, here is our Playwright MCP server key, which is Playwright, and its value would be a JSON object, where command is npx and argument, and its value is an array, where we have two items. One is this -y, which is for auto confirming while using this npx, and this argument, which is @execute automation / Playwright MCP server. And here type is stdio, which means that communication between client and server is going to happen over standard input output. So you need not to be very much about all these options. You should have just the basic knowledge. Apart from that, you need not to do anything here, right? If you are not manually configuring it, you need not to even open this particular file. But if you are configuring MCP server manually, then you can open this MCP JSON file from this particular location, which is C users, then your username, then app data, roaming, code, then users, and there you would be able to get this mcp.json. And if this file is not there, your first time configuring any MCP server, you can manually create this mcp.json file and can provide this configuration directly inside the mcp.json. For now, let me close this file. We have already installed the Playwright MCP server directly by clicking onto the install button from here. We can also run this command directly in the terminal. That will also configure the Playwright MCP server. So you can use any one of the way. Usually this is the simplest way, where you need to click onto the install button here and then into the VS Code. And once you do so, you would be able to see this Playwright MCP server here. You can do installation anyway. You would be able to see this option here only. Here, if you will click onto the setting, you can manually stop and start the server from here. For now, it is already started. We can stop it, and similarly, we can start the MCP server. Now here, let's open our AI assistant, or you can also call it MCP client. So you can click here onto this icon, which will open GitHub Copilot here. Here, if you are using this GitHub Copilot or GitHub first time into this Playwright MCP server, you will have to log in with the GitHub account into the VS Code. For now, I am already logged in, but similarly here you will be able to see the option to log in with the GitHub account into the VS Code. About all these processes, I have already discussed into those previous videos which I have told you. I would recommend you to watch these videos related to the setup. I will provide link of these videos into the description, or you can click onto this I button at top right corner to access these videos. Now here we can provide any prompt. For now, we are going to provide the prompt to build a Playwright Test Framework. So one thing is that we can provide our long prompt directly here into this text area, or we have one more option where we can write our prompt into any file, and then we can use that file here into our AI assistant, which will provide the prompt. So here you can use any file. It can be text file or .md file, or any file where you can provide the simple text prompt, right? For now, I'm going to use .md file. Let me open that file. So here you can create this file at any location. Here I've created at this location with the name playwright_framework_prompt.md. You can give any name for this particular file. Now you can open it with the notepad, or directly in the VS Code we can open this .md file. Let me drag and drop it here. Here I am using .md file because here we would be able to see the proper formatting. Also, we can preview this file with proper formatting. And as I told, you can simply use the text file also. That's totally up to you. If you have already used GitHub repository, you must already be aware about this .md file, because the same extension we used to create readme file. you would be able to see such MD files into most of the GitHub repository. Like here, we can see this readme.md file. Usually this readme.md file is used to provide details related to the GitHub repository. So all the details which we are able to see here, see, it is created under readme file only. We can provide the images, we can format the text also. So all the things can be done into the readme file, which will appear like this. Now let's just quickly go through this .md file. I will provide this particular MD file into the GitHub repository so that you can reuse and practice using this .md file onto any of the AI assistant. For now, we are using this VS Code with the GitHub Copilot. You can use Anthropic Claude, Cursor, or any other AI assistant. Now here, what we have mentioned, here we have mentioned this objective that create a fully functional Playwright Test Automation Framework using MCP Server, following best practices like page object model, Fixture, JSON based test data, and CI integration. Then here we have mentioned different steps, starting from the step 1, which is for setting up MCP Server. Here we have mentioned that launch this Playwright MCP Server. Here usually I start this Playwright MCP Server manually. Initially in some of the tool, it will be by default started only. Then navigate to this sourcedemo.com through the Playwright MCP Server. So here for the testing purpose, we are going to use this sourcedemo.com website. Here the username and password are already mentioned. So you can use these username and password and login. Then here we have mentioned that ensure all the browser automation run only via MCP Server. No static simulation or bypassing. So all the actions will get performed using the Playwright MCP Server only. Here we have specifically mentioned that use data-test HTML property primarily to locate elements. In your case, that may be the case that you are not having this data-test ID. Let me show that to you. What is it? So let me go to this website. Here right click on any of the element, inspect it, and see we have this data-test as the HTML property, and its value will be different for different elements. For your site, if you are having such unique property and its value, you can use it. In some websites, you would be able to see this ID also, name also. So whatever HTML property which can uniquely detect the element, use them. For this particular site, data-test is available, so I am using that. Similarly, you can see data-test ID or data-test-ID. Usually this particular HTML property is put while development so that it is easy to perform automation using these HTML properties. If your site is also under development, you can ask your developers to provide such unique property so that you would be easily able to detect elements by using these IDs, and tell them to keep these values unique for different elements. Now here we have mentioned that use CodeGen tool provided with Playwright MCP Server to generate all the code first. And this is why we are using this execute automation Playwright MCP Server. Because with the official Playwright MCP Server, currently this CodeGen functionality is not available. So on the date when I am recording this video, this CodeGen functionality is not available. In future, that may happen that this CodeGen functionality will also appear into the official Playwright MCP Server. In future, if they add this CodeGen tool into the official Playwright MCP Server, you can use that particular MCP Server. For now, we are going to use execute automation Playwright MCP Server. Similarly, into the official Playwright MCP Server, API testing functionality is not available currently. But with this execute automation Playwright MCP Server, those tools are also available. In future, if it appears with the official Playwright MCP Server, then we can use the official Playwright MCP Server. For now, let's continue further. Now our step 1 is done, where we have mentioned to launch the Playwright MCP Server, then navigate to the site, where we are telling that only use the Playwright MCP Server to perform all the actions, use this data-test ID to locate the element, and then use the CodeGen tool to generate all the code for all the actions which we are going to perform. Now we have step 2, where we have mentioned different test scenarios to validate. You can mention multiple scenarios here. For now, as we are going to focus on to creating the Playwright MCP Server, that's why we are not much focusing on to creating of such scenarios, right? We have just given 2 scenarios so that on the basis of it, it would be able to create Playwright Test Runner Framework. Because here we are going to use the page object model, right? So whatever the pages which are getting used with these 2 scenarios, for that it will create the page classes, right? TypeScript files, custom fixtures. We have also told to use the JSON file to keep the test data. So whatever the data which we will enter here for these 2 test scenarios will get kept inside this JSON file. So just to give a proper structure, right? We are first running these 2 scenarios using the Playwright MCP Server, and then we are going to generate the code using the CodeGen tool, and then by taking the reference of that CodeGen tool with the help of AI assistant, where we are going to use the agents, right, to create the Playwright MCP Server. So this is going to be a combined effort of the Playwright MCP Server, AI assistant and the agent. So here we have kept these two scenarios. First one is login verification, where we have mentioned that enter username and password, then submit the form. Don't get confused with these star symbol or this hash symbol. These are just used to provide the proper formatting to this .md file. You even need not to provide these proper formatting, right? You can just simply use the text file. That would also be sufficient. But here with this proper formatting, your file will look good and it would be easy to read these instructions, right? So that's why I've used this hash to provide the heading, right? This star will show the text into the bold here and into the .md files preview also. Okay, so you can bold any text, right? Here if I want to bold the submit, I can put double star here, right? So for now we have mentioned that enter username and password, then submit the form. Verify successful login through Playwright MCP Server. So this is our first scenario where we will provide username and password onto our login page and we will verify that login should be successful like this. Then we have created this second scenario. Again, this triple hash is used to provide the heading. Let me remove it so it will appear like the plain text, right? Let me add it again so that it would be easy to read also. These double hash is used to provide the main heading and these triple hash is used to provide the subheading, right? And again, I am telling you, no need to be worried about providing these stars or hash. Just for the formatting purpose, I have provided it here. Now into the second scenario, we have mentioned that enter username and password, then submit the form. And once we are logged in, what we need to do? We need to add any item into the card. So here, like this, we can click onto the add to cart, which will add the item. Now here we have mentioned go to cart, check out the item by providing valid test data and continue checkout. So here first we will go to the cart, then check out the item by providing valid test data. So here the item is already added. We can click on to the checkout and here test data and then we need to click on to the continue. And then once we click on to the continue, we would be able to see all these checkout details and then we can click on to the finish. So that's what we have mentioned here, right? Go to the cart, check out the item by providing valid test data and continue checkout. And once we click on to the finish button, validate that order is successfully placed. So we would be able to see this particular screen. So finish checkout and validate that order is successfully placed that we have written here. So these are the two scenarios which we are going to validate. First one is simply the login scenario and the second one is related to the verification of order item process. So now we are done with step 1 where we have provided the initial details. In the step 2 we have provided the test scenarios and here we have also given the notes that all the scenarios should be validated independently. Once step 1 and step 2 are completed and code is generated using CodeGen, then only proceed further with the step 3 to create framework using generated code. So that's why I told you, right? First we are going to perform all the actions using the Playwright MCP Server. Then we are going to generate the code using the CodeGen tool which is provided into the Playwright MCP Server only, right? And once that code is generated, we are going to proceed further with the creation of framework. Now we have step 3 where we have given different guidelines for the framework development. So here we have mentioned that use Playwright MCP Server code generation to generate initial code. Convert generated code in the TypeScript Playwright Test Runner framework. So that's what we are going to create Playwright Test Runner framework. If you want to use JavaScript, you can provide JavaScript here, right? Or you can also try different languages like Python or Java and try to create the framework. For now, I've just tried the TypeScript and JavaScript, but similarly, you can use the Python and any other language like Java, .NET, right? So just you need to provide it in the plain English language, right? Which language you want to use to generate the Playwright framework. Like here, we have given TypeScript Playwright Test Runner framework. If you want to use JavaScript, you give JavaScript Playwright Test Runner framework. If you want to use Python, you can give Python Playwright framework, right? After that, we have mentioned that implement page object model for all pages. And then we have given use fixtures with page object model. Here this sentence is not properly correct. Here first thing is that use fixtures with page object model. Also use fixtures instead of before each and after each hooks where appropriate. So we don't want to use before each and after each hooks. Instead of that, we are going to use fixtures. Let me put stars here. If you want to use before each and after each, that is also okay. And if you are not aware about all these terms, that what is page object model, what is this test runner, what is fixtures, right? And if you want to learn about all these Playwright things, I've already created a complete playlist related to the Playwright where I have explained all the concepts from very basic to advanced level. You can find this playlist onto my channel. Here you can go to my channel and you would be able to see this Playwright tutorials playlist, where you would be able to see all the necessary topics to master the Playwright. So if you are interested in learning Playwright, check this playlist. Here currently we have 78 videos, right? So you can go through this playlist. I will provide link of this playlist into the description, or you can click onto this I button at top right corner to access this playlist. Now let's continue. After this step where we have mentioned to use the fixtures with page object model, and also in case of before each and after each hook, we have mentioned that store test data in JSON file and read dynamically. So here we will be creating our JSON file where we will be keeping our test data, and then we will read the data from that JSON file. Here we have mentioned that keep test independent, no inter-test dependencies, right? So here we want to create all the tests independent of each other. Then here we have mentioned that assertions must be in the test scripts and not in the page object model methods. Then we have given instructions about this playwright.config.ts file, that configure playwright.config.ts to include HTML reports, one retry for failed tests, and video recording, screenshots, and trace. Apart from that, project configuration and all those configurations will automatically come there. If you want to specify that also, that you just need to configure Chrome browser, so you can mention it here, right? Then we have mentioned that add tags and annotation for each test. Here we have mentioned to include the type and description. If you want to remove this annotation part, that is also okay, right? For now, we just need a automation framework structure, right? Where we can create our automation test scripts. Then here we have given that create a .gitignore file to ignore result folders and node modules. Then implement CI pipelines using GitHub Actions. Follow proper naming conventions as per coding standards. So all these instructions I have given. If you want to add more instructions, you can add it here, right? If you want to remove any instructions also, that you can do. If you are doing it for any other site, you can change these scenarios as per your company's website or onto the project on which you are working on, right? So now this MD file will get used to create Playwright Framework. And for now, I will not tell you that we will get 100% accurate result, but it should be able to create the framework based on these instructions which we have given. Although it can be 80% correct, right? At some point, if you are seeing any error into the created framework, that you can manually also create, right? With the help of this AI assistant also, you can ask that resolve this particular error. But at least we would be able to create a basic framework, right? Where we would be having page object model, fixtures, JSON file to provide the test data, assertions. So everything would be available, right? And you will have to just write your test script files. If you want to add more functionalities, you can add them manually also into that framework, right? Everything, the configurations, tagging, these things we have mentioned. And similarly, I told that you can include more instructions here. Now we need to provide these instructions which we have provided into this .md file to our AI assistant. And how we can do that? So we will have to inform our AI assistant that we want to use this particular file. And how you can do that? You can simply drag and drop this particular file into our AI assistant. Here it is already opened into the VS Code. So we can directly open this tab here to the AI assistant. And here you would be able to see this file name .md here. If you want to remove it, click onto this remove button. And if you have not opened this file into the VS Code, you can simply drag and drop the file also. See here, we have kept this .md file. Let me drag and drop to this GitHub Copilot. And again, you would be able to see this option here. Now we have provided this .md file. Now we just need to provide one basic prompt just to tell that follow these instructions which are mentioned into given .md file. So for that, I have already provided one basic prompt into the document. Here at the bottom, you can see that. Here I have kept these Playwright MCP Server configuration if you want to configure Playwright MCP Server manually. This configuration is related to the official Playwright MCP Server. Let me paste configuration related to the execute automation Playwright MCP Server, right? And as I told, in future, if more tools are available with the official Playwright MCP Server, where we have code gen tool also, then you can use official Playwright MCP Server, right? Now here we want to see this prompt. Here I mentioned that follow the instructions provided in the given playwright _framework _prompt.md file, which is this one, right? Follow each instruction given in the MD file step by step, from step 1 to step 2 and step 3. So we have mentioned these steps, right? Step 1, step 2 and step 3. Then use Playwright MCP Server to perform browser actions and to generate code using CodeGen tool. Here I have added this extra line just to be more accurate. Although we have provided such kind of instructions into .md file, but just to be more cautious, I have provided this line here into the prompt also. And you can write this prompt into any language, right? It is not mandatory that you will have to use some hi-fi language here just to provide the prompt, right? Just give these prompts into very basic language and AI assistant should be able to understand these prompts, right? If something is not working right, as I told you that I've specifically provided this line just to be extra cautious. So like that, you can be creative with your prompt. For now, let me copy this prompt and let's provide it here. And now before sending this prompt, one more thing I would like to tell you that I have already opened one blank folder here under the Explorer. This one, right? Which is Playwright-framework-with-MCP, right? You can create any folder with any name, right? With any meaningful name. This folder I have created at this location, which is this one, Playwright Framework with MCP, which is blank one, right? Where our Playwright MCP server will get generated. You can open such blank folder from here, right? File, open folder, and select your blank folder. If you are not opening this folder before sending the prompt, then in between AI agent will mention you that you should open one blank folder, right? So that's why in advance I've already opened this blank folder here. And now let's click onto the send and we should be able to see the magic. Within just a few minutes, our Playwright framework will get generated without even writing a single line of code. And as I previously also told you that it is not necessary that it will follow all the instruction 100% correct, but it would be able to do our most of the work, right? So if there are any minor errors or minor changes which you want, so manually you can try to do those changes. For now, let's click onto the send. Here it is asking to enable Cloud Sonnet 3.5 for all the clients. Let me click onto the enable. So what is this Cloud Sonnet 3.5? It is the agent, right? Previously also I've explained you that inside the GitHub Copilot, you would be able to see the multiple agents, right? Like here we are able to see Cloud Sonnet 3.5, Gemini, GPT 4.1, 4o, GPT 5 mini, and like this, you can also configure different models. For now, we are going to use this Cloud Sonnet 3.5. And usually I like to use this Cloud Sonnet 3.5 more, but it's totally your preference, right? And here make sure that before sending the prompt, you select this agent, right? If you will select this ask, you would not be able to perform any actions, right? So make sure here you have select the agent and here you have select the desired model. And as I told, I prefer to use the Cloud Sonnet model. Now let's click onto the enable. In your case, this may happen that it is already enabled, so you will not get this particular pop-up also, right? Now here, let it perform all the process. In between, if it need to run any command or need to perform any new action, it will ask for the confirmation. Like here, it is asking for running this npm init-y command. So here, let's click onto the continue. You can simply just check the details and click onto the continue. See now here, first it created the package.json. Now here, for now, we have not installed Playwright MCP Server or any Playwright browser. So first it is trying to install the Playwright MCP Server. Let's click onto the continue. So this is the command to install the Playwright MCP Server, which is npm init playwright@latest. And here we just need to simply provide the instructions, right? For now we want to use the TypeScript. Let's hit enter. Where to put your end-to-end test? Here we will select this default option only, which is tests folder. Add a GitHub Actions workflow. Here you can select yes or no. For now I will select yes here to create a GitHub Actions workflow, and it will install the latest Playwright as well as different Playwright browsers. Let it install. I will fast forward this installation process of the browsers. And now latest version of Playwright as well as different Playwright browsers have been installed, and we are able to see this happy hacking message. And here also you will see that it has moved further, where it will start the code gen session. Here on clicking onto the show more, you would be able to see more details, right? And for now, automatically it installed the latest Playwright. But before creating this video, when I was trying to create the Playwright framework, I was getting issue with this latest Playwright. Let's continue for now. On the go, if we will see that same issue, I will tell you that how you can resolve that issue, right? For now, let's click onto the continue, which will start the code gen session. And now here it is trying to run the tool, which is Playwright Navigate, which will try to navigate to this particular URL. Let's click onto the continue and see it is getting failed. It is asking to install the browsers.
Although all the browsers already got installed, but still we are getting this error. Let me expand this section so that we would be able to see the more details, right? I specifically wanted to show you this error so that you are aware about this error. In future, this error also may get resolved. You would not be able to even see this particular error. But currently, if you are getting this particular error, I will tell you the way to resolve this issue. Let me expand it. So see here, it was trying to navigate to this URL using the Chromium browser, right, into the headless mode. And see, in the output, we have got that looks like Playwright test or Playwright was just installed or updated. Please run the following command, download new browser. Although this thing is also done, npx playwright install, because previously we have executed this npm init playwright at the rate latest, right? So with that only, see, it installed the browser also. Here if you will see into the log, see, npx playwright install command already got executed, but still we are getting this issue or error, right? Here it is telling us to try again. If you will try again also, if you will click onto the continue, again same browsers are going to get installed. And again for this navigate step, we will get the same error. So now how we can proceed further, right? We got stuck. So for that, I have got one solution where rather than using this latest Playwright version, we would be using the previous version, right? Let me open this package.json, and here this current latest version is 1.55.0. So with this version, we are getting this error. So it is not like that this Playwright is having any issue. Here the issue is that our execute automation Playwright MCP server is having issue with our latest Playwright version, which is 1.55.0. And to avoid this issue, we will use the previous version. So on place of this latest Playwright version, which is 1.55.0, currently we are going to install the previous version, which is 1.53.1. And why we are performing this step? Because currently we are getting this error. And here what is the issue? The issue is that this execute automation Playwright MCP server is not working properly with this latest Playwright version. So because of that, we are rolling it back to the previous version. But in future, this issue may not appear for you. So you need not to perform this particular step, right? So to perform this step, let me open one new terminal. And here manually, I will delete all these folders and files which have been installed with this latest Playwright version. Let's delete it. And here one more step I will perform where I will install all the browsers which got installed as a part of this latest Playwright version. And to do so, we need to give the command, which is npx playwright uninstall and after space ---- all. And what this command will do, it will remove all the Playwright browsers which have been installed. Let's hit enter and see it removed all the previous browsers. Here it removed Chromium, Firefox, WebKit, right? So whatever the Playwright browsers which we have installed are now uninstalled. Now let's manually install this 1.53.1 Playwright version. And for that, we need to give the command npm, then install, then @playwright/test. After that, we need to provide the version, and the version is 1.53.1. So put @ and then 1.53.1. And now let's hit enter. So now our Playwright installation is done. And now we have added package for this Playwright version, which is 1.53.1. Now we will install the Playwright browsers. And for that, what is the command? The command is npx playwright and install, which will automatically install Playwright browsers for this particular Playwright version. Let me open one new terminal. And here I will give this command, which is npx playwright install. And now hit enter. And now our Playwright browser installation has been started. I will fast forward this process of the installation of the browser. And now our browser installation is done for the Playwright version 1.53.1. And again I am repeating, I am getting this error. That's why I am rolling Playwright version to the previous version. In future, if this particular issue is resolved, you will not have to perform this manual step itself. You will not have to delete all these files. You will not have to install the previous version of the Playwright, right? You will not have to install these Playwright browsers also. So if you are not getting any error, skip this particular step. And now let's proceed further by giving our prompt. Let me open the new chat. And again, I will provide the prompt to perform all the steps which are there inside this .md file. So let me provide the prompt here. Let's copy it and let's paste it here. So again, I'm starting this process by giving the prompt, right? Because now we will not get that issue where we got stuck, right? Because of that, we had to perform all these steps. Now let me drag and drop this .md file, which is appearing here, right? Now let's click on to the send. And again, the process will get started. And this time directly it is asking us to navigate to this particular URL, which is saucedemo.com. Here we can either click on to the continue, or we can choose any of these options, right? It can be allow in this session, allow in this workspace, or always allow. For now, I am choosing allow in this session. You can choose any of the option. And if you don't want to provide these confirmation again and again, you can go with the always allow. So next time, if this playwright_navigate MCP server tool will get used, it will not ask for the permission. For now, let me click on to allow in this session and see it has started performing the action. Let's go back to GitHub Copilot and see here it is trying to start the code gen session. Let's again allow in this session. And now it is trying to fill the username. Let's provide this allow in this session. Next time, it will not ask us to fill the password, right? Automatically, it will proceed further by entering the password. See here, it entered username, password. Now it wants to click on to the continue button. And for this also, I will provide this allow in this session. And here it is trying to end this code gen session. So here, let's click on to allow in this session. And now it has started the session for the scenario 2. Again, it will perform all the actions. See, for now, it has entered username. See again, first it tried to fill the username directly, but it got failed because we were already logged in. So again, it navigated to the login page from this URL. Then it entered the username. Similarly, it entered password, clicked on to the login button. Here, everything you will be able to see, right? It added the item to the cart. Now here, it is trying to click onto this shopping cart container. See, now it navigated to the shopping cart. And here, it continued with the checkout. Now it will try to fill this data. So I'm not doing anything. And even I have not provided any of this data also. Automatically, this Playwright MCP server with the help of AI assistant performing all the actions. And now it has successfully ordered that particular item, and we are able to see that thank you for your order. See at the background, all the steps are getting performed. I am not even clicking anywhere. And if it fails at any step, automatically it tries to rerun that step by resolving the issue. And now it is trying to create the framework. See, we have completed step 1 and step 2. Now let's proceed with the step 3 framework development. First, it created this SRC folder, pages and fixtures folder. Here it is asking us to continue to iterate. If you are getting such option, just click on to the continue. So it will proceed further. And now see, it is trying to create different files and folders which are required for the framework, for which we have given instructions here. See, we have provided all the instructions. You can provide your own instructions into your own language, right? It is not necessary that you need to write like this only in the same order. You can provide whatever you want to do for your framework. See here, it has created this JSON file where we are going to keep our test data. Here it is trying to create the page object model, right? It has created different pages like login page, product page, cart page, and checkout page. Now here it created this page fixtures.ts where all the fixtures will be there which are required for the page object model. And now it is creating our TypeScript files. See, loginspec.ts and orderspec.ts. We have not even provided these names, right? Automatically it is taking all the names. And here it has created playwright.config.ts file, the gitignore file, and GitHub actions file. And see, now it has completed all the steps requested in the prompt. Here it is just giving the summary that it has set up the MCP server and recorded test scenarios, generated code using CodeGen for the both test scenarios, developed the framework with the page object model, fixtures for the page objects, JSON test data, independent test files, assertions in the test scripts, not page object model. That's what we have mentioned, right? We don't want the assertion in the page object model. See here at this step, we have mentioned that. Then added tags and descriptions, created .gitignore file, and set up GitHub Actions CI pipeline. And the framework is now ready. We can run the tests by using this npx playwright test. This command is used to execute all the test script files. Let me just go through this framework structure which it has created. See this .github, and inside it we have this workflows where all the configurations related to the GitHub Actions CI pipeline are there. This is node module where all the node modules will get installed. And under SRC we have this data folder where it has put the data which it is going to use for our test script files, right? See here, for the login purpose, it has given this username and password, and this first name, last name, and this postal code is getting used during checkout. And after that, let me open this pages folder where it has created all the pages for the page object model. Let me close all the tabs first, and now let's open these pages. See, it has created this cart page class, and here it has created locators as well as methods by using page object model. See here, first it is using this constructor. Then it has created locators here, which are private, right? This is for the checkout button. And during the prompt, we have mentioned that we want to use data-test, right? So automatically it has taken data-test only to identify the element. Here it is trying to detect the checkout button. And here to proceed with the checkout, it has created the method which will click onto this checkout button. Now similarly, let me open this login page where it has created this login page class, the constructor, where it is getting the page fixture. And now first it is creating these locators which are private by using data-test ID. Why? Because we have mentioned to use this data-test, right? Let me open this .md file again parallelly so that you will be able to see the prompt also. See here, we have told to use this data-test HTML property. So at every place, it is trying to use this data-test. If it is not available, you can provide ID or unique locator also, right? Here into the prompt only. Or you can specify it like this, that primarily we want to use this data-test. If this data-test or data-test ID is not there, you can use any of the property which will uniquely detect the elements. And here it has created method. See, this is navigate method, which will navigate onto this sourcedemo.com. This login button will enter the username, password, and then click onto the login button. Here it has created method to verify the URL, right? After login, we have this products page. This page is related to that main product page, right? Let me go there. See, it is regarding this particular page. And here also it has created the class file, constructor, the locator, which is for this add to cart sauce labs backpacks, which is this one, right? For this add to cart button. And for this shopping cart link, it has used a class name. And there may be the case that it is not able to uniquely identify the element. So that's why it has used this cart. But if you see that here also data-test can be used, you can replace this locator, right? So that's what I was telling, right? It is not compulsory that you need to use these locators or methods, right? You can modify this framework according to your requirement. For now, if it is going to work, I will not change it, right? And here it has created the method to add the item into the cart, and one method is to go to this particular shopping cart page. And similarly, you can go through all the pages, right? This is the checkout page where it entered the first name, last name, postal code, clicked on to the continue button, finished button, and then it also created the method, right? This one is used to fill the information, right? This one is for finishing the checkout, and this one is for getting order confirmation text. So like this, if you will give more prompt, it will be able to generate multiple pages which are required to perform all the actions, right? And now we will go to this tests folder, and here it has created these two files, which is login.spec.ts and order.spec.ts. But apart from that, it has these two files. What are these two files? Let me quickly open it. I will tell you what it is. See here, we are able to see the actions related to the login test, right? And this second one is related to the order which we have made, right? So all the actions which have been performed using the MCP server, right? So here, if you will go into this AI assistant response, see first it started this code gen session, right? And then it performed all the actions, and here it ended this code gen session for our scenario 1, which we have given into this .md file, right? This is scenario 1 for which this recording happened, right? And again, it started this code gen session. It performed all the actions to order item, right? So that has been captured into this second file. See, first it was trying to fill the username directly, so it got failed, right? So see, here also we are able to see the same step. Then as it was failing at this step, it again navigated to this sourcedemo.com, and then it entered the username, password, then clicked on to the login button, added item to the cart. All the actions which got performed here are recorded here with the help of CodeGen2. See here, if you will notice, this particular step got failed where it was trying to click on to this shopping cart icon, right? But it got failed. So see here also, you will be able to see the code related to that it has used this class name to uniquely identify the element. But before that, it tried this data-test, but with that it got failed. So that's why it has used this class name to detect the element and to click on it, right? So all the steps got recorded which have been performed, right? One by one using this MCP server CodeGen2, right? And then it checked out, it entered the first name, last name, postal code, clicked on to the continue, and then clicked on to the finish. See, all the steps have been performed here. And after clicking onto this finish button, it ended the CodeGen session. So that's why two files got generated for each scenario. So it depends, right? If you will perform the same prompt, there may be the case only one file is getting generated as a part of this CodeGen tool recording, right? So you need not to be worried about that. Automatically, it will record all the actions, will keep it into the file, and using those recorded file, it will try to generate our framework, right? So you are getting right what is happening into the background. It performed all the actions, it recorded all the actions one by one using this code gen tool of the Playwright MCP server, and then once all the recording is done, it tried to create the framework, where it created test data file, created pages file, test script file, which are login.spec.ts and order.spec.ts. Apart from that, it has created configuration file, git ignore file. So it is happening into this order. And that's what we have mentioned into our .md file, right? We have mentioned that first we want to perform all the actions, then we want to use the code gen tool to generate the code for which the action have been performed. And then we have mentioned, then proceed further with the step 3, which is for the framework development. So that's what it is doing, right? It is following each and every instructions one by one. So whatever you will provide into the prompt, it is the baseline, right? It is going to follow each and every step one by one. So provide your prompt with proper details so that it would be easy for the AI assistant to understand your requirement, right? For now, we can delete these files also, right? Because we have already generated the framework. For now, I'm keeping this file, right? But if you want, you can delete these code gen files, right? Because otherwise, if you will execute all the tests, these two files also will get generated. Here, let me open these login.spec.ts and order.spec.ts one by one. Let's close these code gen files which got generated, right? Now let's first open this login.spec.ts. Now here it has imported test and expect from this fixture file. And what is this page fixture file? So it is there inside this fixtures folder. Let me open this first. See here it has imported all the page object model pages, test from the Playwright test, and then it has created fixture. If you are not aware about this fixtures and all those things I told you, right? You can watch my complete playlist. If you are very new to this Playwright, if you are already aware that what is fixture, what is page object model, how to create the locator, then you are good to go. And then after creating this my fixtures type, it has extended it with the different fixtures, where we have login fixture, product page fixture, cart page fixture, and checkout page fixture, which are going to give us the object of the specific class. See, here it is going to return us object of product page class, cart page class, checkout page class, and all these fixtures will be available for this particular test. And that's why we are importing this test from our fixture file, right? And not from this Playwright /test. So this test is nothing but from the Playwright /test package with the extended fixtures, right? And here it has also tried to export the expect from the Playwright test module. So now we have both exported test and expect here, right? From this fixture file, which we can import here, right? Then it has imported test data from this JSON file, which is this one, right? And after that, it has created this test block where it has given the title with the tag name. And after that, it has created this describe block where we have test with the title, and then anonymous function where it has used this login page fixture, right? Which was there into our page fixture file, this one, which is going to return us object of this login page class, right? So this is complete framework, right? About framework also I've created a proper video. If you want to manually create such type of framework with in-depth knowledge, you can watch framework related video from my playlist. I will provide link of those framework related video into the description, or you can click onto this I button at top right corner to access those videos. And by using this login page fixture, which is going to give us object of this login page class, it is trying to access this navigate method, which is there inside this login page class file, right? And after that, it is trying to log in into the application by entering the username and password. And how we are getting this username and password? We are getting it from the JSON file. So this is the JSON file, right? And inside it, we have this login data, and its value is again an object where we have standard data. And again, its value is object where we have username and password, right? So that's what we are trying to access. From this test data, we are going to this login data, then standard data, and there we have username. And similarly, here we have password. And after that, it is trying to get the current URL. So once we log in, we will be landing onto this particular URL, right? sourcedemo.com/inventory.html. So here we will get that current URL. And here it is trying to check that this URL contains this path, which is /inventory.html, which is this one, right? So it is trying to validate that once we log in, we are getting this inventory.html into the current URL or not. So this is one verification which it is doing just to validate that it got successfully logged in or not. Like this, if you want to perform any other action or you want to provide any other assertion, you can provide it here. And again, let's go to this order.spec.ts. Here also it has imported this test and expect from the page fixtures class, which we just checked. And then it has imported this test data. And then it created the describe block. Inside it, it created this test block where it is using this login page fixture, product page fixture, cart page fixture, and checkout page fixture. See, all these fixtures are part of this particular fixture file. And each of the fixtures will return object of these page classes so that it would be able to access methods of these classes. And now here simply it will use these fixtures dot the method name for the actions which it is trying to perform. See, here it is trying to navigate to the application, then it is logging in, then it is adding item to the cart by using this method, which is add backpack to the cart, right? If you will go to this product page .ts, here you will be able to see the same method which is trying to perform an action onto the element, onto the locator which we have added here. So like this, it is trying to perform all other actions, right? So here it added item to the cart, it went to the cart page, then onto the cart page, it proceeded further with the checkout, and then onto the checkout page, it filled the form. So here it is trying to call this fill information method from this checkout page.ts. Let me open this checkout page.ts and see here we are calling this fill information method where it is trying to enter first name, last name, postal code, and then it is clicking onto the continue button. And this method requires first name, last name, and postal code that we are getting from the JSON file, right? From this JSON file where we have user info as the key, and inside it we have first name, last name, and postal code like this, right? And after that it finished the checkout, and once the checkout is finished, it is performing one assertion where it is trying to fetch that confirmation text, right? The confirmation text was thank you for your order. So it is trying to fetch that particular text from the checkout page, right? And then it is performing assertion for that. And it is not necessary that you will have to provide these assertions only. You can modify these assertions, right? But the main thing is that we have got a complete framework structure which we can directly use, right? Where we have everything. We have file which can maintain data. We have fixture file where we can create more fixtures. We have page object model for each page. And on top of that, it has also created TypeScript files. And after that, we have this .getignore file. For that also, we have given the prompt that we want to create .getignore file into our .md file. Here, see, we have mentioned that we want to create a getignore file where it has already included these paths where our reports or our results are going to get generated. Apart from that, it has included this node modules and .ds store, right? So if you want to add more directories or files here, which you don't want to push as a part of Git repository, so you can provide it here. After that, initially only once we install the Playwright, we have got this package.json and package log.json. And here we have this playwright.config.ts file also, where all the configurations are there. For that also we have mentioned into the prompt, right? See this one, configure playwright.config.ts to include HTML report, one retry for the failed tests, video recording, screenshot, and trace. So all these configurations are there, right? See, one retry is there, reporter is HTML. It has configured trace, video, screenshot, right? This Chromium project, this base URL also it has taken. And this is our test directory from where it will execute the tests. And like this, you can modify these configuration. If you want to include Firefox, WebKit, or any other project, that you can include here. If you want to do any other configuration, that you can do here. And like this, if you will add more information here as per your requirement, it will try to fulfill that particular prompt. And it is not necessary that the framework it has created is 100% correct. There may be some issues, right? So that you can manually correct it, or you can give the prompt here that you are seeing this particular error to the AI assistant, and AI assistant with the help of agent will be able to fix that particular issue. So you can try that at your end. For now, we will proceed further. So now we have got an idea about the framework, right? That what kind of framework it has created. And now let's quickly proceed further with the execution. For that, we can either use this Playwright extension. Right? For me, this Playwright extension is already installed. If you want to install it, you can search it under the extensions and then you can install it. And once this Playwright extension is installed, we would be able to see this testing option here, where we will be able to see all the tests which are there inside the tests file, because that's what it is configured into our playwright.config.ts file. Here, let's first try to run this login.spec.ts file. And here we are getting one error. Let's quickly check that. And here we are getting this error for this import. Let's go back to our TypeScript file. And here it is getting failed at line number 1, right? Inside this login.spec.ts file, let me open that. And here it is getting failed because it is not able to find this .fixtures folder. Why so? Let me quickly check that. Okay, it has taken the wrong path. See, this fixtures folder is there inside this src folder. Usually these fixtures, data folder, pages folder will be there into the main folder only, but this AI assistant has created this structure. So we can follow this structure, or we can simply move these data, fixtures and pages folder outside of this src. For now, I will just update the path. So in your case, there may be the case this structure will be different, this coding will be different, right? It is not mandatory that it will every time generate the same structure or the same coding, right? So be aware about that. Don't get confused if you are getting something in different way, right? For now, let me provide this path. So .. and here we need to go to this src and then fixtures and then page fixtures. And the same thing we need to provide for this order.spec.ts file, which is this one, right? And here we can replace the path. And now that error is gone. Let's go back to our testing option. And here again, click on to the run just for the login.spec.ts file. And again, see, this is silly mistake, right? By the AI itself, that it has created this src folder and there it has kept this data folder, but it has not taken the correct path, right? So let me provide this .. /src, and inside it we have this data folder and then testdata.json. Apart from that, there is no error, right? And similarly, we need to update it for the second TypeScript file, which is login.spec.ts file. And here also put .. /src, and inside it we have this data and then testdata.json, which is this one. So see, one silly mistake by the AI, right? It has created the complete framework, but it is not able to provide this correct path for the import statement. And from the starting also, I'm saying the same thing, right? It is not mandatory that you will be able to get 100% correct requirement, right? You will have to modify in some cases. There may be the case that you have got perfect thing, right? With more advanced model, like if you will try to use this Cloud Sonnet 4, right? Or any other advanced model, it may be the case you will get more accurate code. For now, no need to worry about this, right? We have already corrected it. And now that error is gone. Let's again go back to the testing and this time click on to the run. This time it should run, right? See, this login is successful and we have this pass test. Similarly, let's run this order.spec.ts. Let me close all the old Playwright browsers. And here click on to this order.spec.ts file. See, it has performed all the steps and now we have got this thank you for your order message. And this test also got passed. So see, by giving just a basic prompt, within few minutes, it was able to generate this beautiful framework structure. And here, as I told, if there is any error or if you feel any modification is required, you can simply modify these changes. In future, if you feel that you need to create more pages, you can create those pages here. You can create more TypeScript files. You can create data, right? You can make any configuration. So it's totally up to you, whatever the modification which you want to make. But we have got a complete framework. Usually to develop such frameworks, people used to take days, right? But now it got created by just giving the basic simple prompt into the English language. And you can try to do it with different sites. I will provide this .md file for your reference, right? So you can modify it according to your requirement. And if you are getting stuck at any place, just let me know into the comment section below. I'm just a comment away from you, right? And if you're finding this playlist helpful, let me know into the comments below. And feel free to share your suggestions. I will love to hear your thoughts. And now I will conclude this video here. But before we wrap up, let me give you a quick recap. So initially we saw that what is an automation testing framework, what is Playwright Test Runner, what is Playwright MCP Server, what are all the prerequisites, right? We need to install the Node.js, VS Code, and this GitHub Copilot extensions. If you want to use any other AI system, that also you can use. After that, we saw that how we can configure the Playwright MCP Server. Either we can use this manual process or we can click on to this install button here, right? Apart from that, you can use these commands also to install the Playwright. It's totally up to you. And here we have used this execute automation Playwright MCP Server and not the official Playwright MCP Server. Because with this official Playwright MCP Server, still CodeGen tool is not available. and I will insist you on using CodeGen tool because it records each and every action, then it try to create the framework around that, right? And once Playwright MCP Server is configured here into our VS Code, we can simply open our AI assistant, which is GitHub Copilot in this case, and here we can provide our prompt. So we have provided this prompt here, where we have mentioned to follow the instruction which are mentioned inside this .md file. You can also provide this prompt directly, but it is easy to maintain the prompts here into the .md file. And again, I'm saying that you can use simple text file also, right? And here we have given all the instructions that we want to create the framework, where we want to use the page object model, fixtures, JSON based test data, CI integration, right? Then we have mentioned different steps, right? Where we have given that we want to go to this particular site, we want to use the Playwright MCP Server, CodeGen tool. Here we have given specific instructions that detect the element using this data-test HTML property. Then into the step 2, we have provided the scenarios related to the login and for ordering the item. Here we have mentioned some notes that all the scenarios should be independent, and once step 1 and step 2 are completed and code is generated using CodeGen, then only proceed further with the step 3 to generate the framework. And here we have mentioned all the steps that we want to generate TypeScript Playwright Test Runner framework using the page object model, fixtures, JSON file. All the tests should be independent. We want to provide assertions not into the page object model files. We have told it to configure playwright.config.ts file, where it should include HTML reporter, retry configuration, video recording, screenshot and trace. We have mentioned to include the tags, right? So here, if you have noticed, it has given tag for this describe block. Then it created this .getignore file. Also, it has implemented CI pipeline using GitHub Actions. And it tried to follow the proper naming convention, right? Because we have mentioned everything into the prompt. If you want to add more steps, you can similarly add such steps. And we provided this file here into our AI assistant. And once we click onto the send, it performed all the actions. And first I got stuck with the error because this execute automation Playwright MCP Server was not able to open the Playwright browsers for the current Playwright version. So because of that, we had to roll it back to the previous version. But for you, if it is working fine, if you are already onto the previous version, where you have old browsers available, you will not get stuck at this point, and you will not have to do the manual Playwright installation for the previous version. And again, once we provided this prompt, it performed all the actions, right? It navigated to the URL, it started the CodeGen session, it performed all the actions for the scenarios which we have given, and at the end, it generated the complete framework. And this is our framework where everything got generated. Where we have this YAML file, which is for the configuration of CI, right, onto the GitHub Actions. For this also, I've created a separate video that how you can configure CI pipeline, how you can generate this YAML file, and that is part of the Playwright playlist. Here, it has generated test data file, fixture file, all the page object model files, right, for each page. Then it has created these two test script files for two scenarios differently. Here we have .getignore file, package.json file, and then this playwright.config.ts file. So we have basic skeleton ready, right? Now here you can do n number of modification and number of changes to make it more robust as per your requirement. And now you try to do the same at your end, and if you are getting stuck at any place, just leave a comment and I should be able to help you. And that's it from my end. You can click onto this first card to go to the next video. You can click onto the second card to access this whole automation using AI and MCP servers playlist, and stay tuned for my upcoming videos. If you have any comments, questions or doubts, you can let me know into the comment section below. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. Have a great day.